Hey filmmakers, if you're in the market for a new gimbal and you've been looking at the DJI Ronin-S, there's a couple things you need to know before you buy it, because honestly, there are a lot of things that I hate about it. I've been doing professional shooting with the Ronin-S for quite some time now, and there are some quirks and things that keep me from picking it up and bringing it on every single shoot. And I actually end up bringing my Zhiyun Crane when I have the opportunity to, because there are just a lot of things that are cons to this that I don't think everyone's talking about. There are some obvious cons that some other creators have already touched on, but there are also things I think people are just glazing over, and I wanted to bring them up just in case you're thinking of getting the Ronin-S and you're thinking that it's like the upper echelon of single-handed grips on the market right now. A lot of people have touched on how heavy this is, and honestly, you just really don't know for yourself until you get it in your hands and you have to do a lot of shooting with it. If you're going to be shooting weddings or live events or just spending a long day on set, it honestly gets really heavy and has a lot of fatigue on your arms. Unless you're just freaking like the buff nerd or something, I'm telling you, you're going to get tired and you're going to find yourself setting it down and not wanting to use it more often than you would with something like one of the Zhiyun Cranes or the Moza Air or another single-handed grip that's a lot lighter. Another disadvantage to the already heavy Ronin-S is that it deters you from adding a bunch of attachments like dual-handle grips or an external microphone or an external monitor. Once you add them all to it, it just gets almost too heavy to be practical. All right, now that we have the weight out of the way, let's talk about something else, and that's actually balancing the Ronin-S. It's not the most difficult thing to do ever, but I have found it to be a little bit more complicated than something like the Zhiyun Crane or even the Ronin-M. That can be a problem when you're actually on set and you're trying to get shooting like that, and you're spending all this time fiddling with it, trying to get it balanced just perfectly. And I find that the Manfrotto plate on it can actually be more of a nuisance than it's worth, and I know this is on a lot of other gimbals too, but whenever you have to change the battery, you have to slide it off, put a new one in, and then slide it back into place and do a little bit of balancing with it to make sure you got it right back in the exact same spot. But for example, for me on the Zhiyun Crane, I have a little base plate on there that clips on and off in the exact same spot every time, so when I do have to change out the battery or something else, I know that it's going in the exact same spot every time and no rebalancing will be necessary. Something that a lot of filmmakers love is the pistol grip, and honestly, I like it too. It's very ergonomic, feels good in the hands, and it's very nice. But honestly, the perfectly round handles on things like the Zhiyun Crane make it a lot easier, for me at least, to get nice, perfect, orbiting, panning shots. I'm not going to dive too deep into this next con, but it's the focus wheel. Now, DJI has made a lot of promises and it still does not work with the Sony cameras. And that's a problem for me because everything I shoot on is Sony cameras. And so I just find it to be completely useless, and I just still haven't removed it yet. It doesn't come with the separate follow focus motor either, like the Crane 2 and Moza Air 2 does. And that would be really nice to have, especially for us Sony users who can't use the follow focus that it comes with anyways. Personally, for me, the thumbstick sticks out way too far. I mean, it feels all right, but it's just not ergonomic for my thumb because it's sticking out so much. I found that it made it harder to do little pans and tilts, and actually had my thumb sore at the end of the day. Whereas on even the Ronin-M thumb controller, it's flat. And so your thumb just lays on top of it and you can slide it around. And same with on the Crane V2. It's a flat thumbstick. You can't charge the battery unless it's mounted onto the Ronin itself. And that could be a problem if you need to switch it out for another battery, but it's really not a big deal because the battery life on this is actually very good and lasts all day long every time. I know you can buy other batteries now that allow you to plug into the charger directly, but the one that it's coming with, or at least the one that came with this, doesn't allow you to do that. The case itself is even just huge. It's a lot bigger than a lot of the other cases out there like the Zhiyun Cranes. And if you're not even bringing it in the case and you're actually just trying to fit it into a backpack or a Pelican, it's gonna take up a lot more space than many of the other handheld gimbals out there. Space is precious, and if you are filling up a lot of your space with the gimbal itself, that's gonna kick out other things that you may need, like more lenses and other accessories. Of course, there are things that I like about it too, and I'm gonna go over those real quick. The first thing is I love the trigger on the front that you can double tap it and it brings it back to the home position. I also love the custom modes on the back that you can easily switch between. Having 3 of them is very nice. The build quality is obviously fantastic. Everything that DJI makes is really high quality. So you can put really heavy cameras on this and large lenses, and that's something nice to have over a lot of the other gimbals that don't allow that. So is the Ronin-S right for you? Well, it all depends on how you shoot and what you shoot. You just want to keep a couple of these cons in mind when you're actually out there shopping for a gimbal, because trust me, it's not the perfect gimbal, and neither are the other ones that I've talked about. So it really all just depends on what your needs are. And if you want to learn how to light and shoot better videos, hit subscribe right now. I have a ton more videos coming out on shooting, editing, everything like that. All right, I'll see you in the next video.